Fabius Hysterical Society, and that's why I was invited, but I'm glad to say it is the Historical Society, and it's a thrill to be here. And real quick, we did have a time in that storm. We, fortunately, Carl, he said, oh, poor Carl, he's all locked in. Poor Carl. It wasn't poor Carl. They had a snowmobile, and then they had some of our food sponsors said, you can open our restaurant and go help yourself. So they took the snowmobile and went and had gourmet food all the time they were there. So it wasn't that bad. But it's great to be here. I got a few stories to tell, a couple of songs to sing, and how many people here took piano lessons when they were kids? Everybody? And how many are sorry you didn't continue, right? Of course. Well, as a child I went wild when the band played. I ran to the man when his hand swayed. Clarinets were my pets. A slide trombone I thought was so grand. But today when they play how I hiss them, every bar is a jar to my system. But there's one musical instrument that I call mine. I love a piano. I love a piano. I love to hear somebody play upon a piano, a grand piano. It carries me away, and I know a fine way to play a fine way to play a thank you, Steinway. I love to run my fingers o'er these keys, these ivories, and with the pedal I love to meddle with the music of Broadway, and I'm excited if I'm invited to hear a genius play. So take your fiddle and take your bow, give me a P-I-A-N-O-O-O. I wanna stop right by an upright or a fine baby grand. I wanna listen to the two-beat of a piano, it's sparkling and gay. I listen to the syncopated Dixie tune, played in one particular way, and when I'm sitting with my honey by the light of the moon, listen to this song. Well, that's a busy keyboard. Did you get the last chord? I could listen all night long. And when they rang up the blues in a minor key, well, nothing could be finer to me than to beat. I love a two-beat, yeah, I love a two-beat of a piano, and with the pedal, I love to meddle with even music on Broadway, and I'm excited if I'm invited to hear a genius play. So take your fiddle and take your bow, give me a P-I-A-N-O-O-O. I want to stop right by an upright or a fine-tuned baby, P-I-A-N-O-O. And now you know now, and now you know how I love my piano. I love the piano. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love the piano, and it's been my hobby and my pleasure to play it for years and years. I started as an 8-year-old and kept doing my scales and my lessons, and I'm thrilled that I can still enjoy it for myself and now for others like you. It's a pleasure being here, and he mentioned that I usually call my performance when I go out a senior moment or two or three or four, and it's difficult to put a name on us, you know, senior citizens, not too happy with that, right? Early birders, golden agers, that doesn't really work either. But what I do is borrow a page from the Professional Golfers Association. You know what they call their upper group? The Champions Tour. So I consider us all champions. Welcome, champions. That's what we are. It's amazing how we progress through life at different ages. I call this the stage of ages. Like when you see a little boy, you say, how old are you, little boy? he'll say, I'm 4.5 going on 5, right? And then when you move into the teen years, you see a young girl who's starting to grow up and grow older, and you say, how old are you, little girl? And she'll say, I'm gonna be 16, right? So you were 4.5 going on 5, now you're gonna be 16. And then as you go to the next level, it's kind of like a religious experience, you become 21, all right? So you were 4.5 going on 5, then you're gonna be 16, then you become 21. And as you move through the 20s, all of a sudden you look around and you turn 30. Kind of like sour milk, right? You turned 30, we had to throw them out. But you were 4.5 going on 5, you're going to be 16, you become 21, you turned 30, and as you move through the 30s, all of a sudden you realize you're pushing 40, right? Really moving. You were 4.5 going on 5, you're going to be 16, you become 21, you turn 30, now you're pushing 40, and if you jump through the 40s, all of a sudden you make it to 50. Wow, I was 4.5 going on 5, I was going to be 16, I become 21, I turned 30, I was pushing 40, I made it to 50, and now if I'm lucky, I will reach 60. Yeah, I'm really going up there, right? Because remember, I was 4.5 going on 5, I was going to be 16, I become 21, I turned 30, I was pushing 40, I made it to 50, I reached 60, and I'm still going, and through the 60s, all of a sudden I look around, and guess what? I hit 70. Yeah, now I'm really going good, right? I was 4.5 going on 5, I was going to be 16. I become 21, I turned 30, I was pushing 40, I made it to 50, I reached 60, I hit 70. Now when you get a little older, things start going backwards, and you look at some old guy and you say, how old is he? You say, well, he's into his 80s. Huh? Different way of looking at it. But you were 4.5 going on 5, you're going to be 16, you become 21, you turn 30, you were pushing 40, you made it to 50, you reached 60, you hit 70, right? You're into your 80s, and now when you get to the next level, you kind of start going backwards. You say, well, how old are you, young lady? And she'll say, well, I was 91. Kind of a backward way of looking at it though, right? But you were 4.5 going on 5, you're going to be 16, you become 21, you turn 30, you're pushing 40, you made it to 50, you reached 60, you hit 70, right? You were into your 80s, you was 91. Now, if you hit the big one, the big one, and someone asks how old you are, you know what you tell them when they ask you? I'm 100.5 going on 101. That's the stages of age. We got any married couples here? Who's been married the longest? We got any 40-year marriages? Anybody married? You've been married 40 years? More? How long have you been married? How long? 55. 55? 68. 68? Anybody more than 60? All right, 68. What are your names?
Robert Root, Shirley Root.
What is it?
Shirley Robert Root, R-O-O-T.
Rob?
Robert, yep.
And?
Shirley.
Which one, Shirley? Oh, Rob and Shirley. All right, we'll dedicate this to Rob and Shirley, and actually we'll dedicate it to everybody, but I think you can all identify with it, especially Rob and Shirley. Are you aching tonight? Is your stomach uptight? Did you bring your Mylanta and Tums? Does your memory fade to that bright summer day when you had all your teeth and your gums? Is your hairline receding, your eyes growing dim? Hysterectomy for her and prostate for him. Is your back filled with pain? Do your knees predict rain? Tell me, dear, are you aching tonight? Is your blood pressure up? Your cholesterol down? Are you eating that low-fat cuisine? All that bran and that fruit Metamucil to boot, so you run like a well-oiled machine. Whether baseball or football, old Rob knows the score. He may know where it's at, but forgets what it's for. Is your gallbladder gone? Does your gout linger on? Tell me, dears, are you aching tonight? When you're hungry, he's not. When you're cold, she is hot. And then you start that old thermostat war. He goes left, you go right. You say, hey, good night. And he starts that old symphonic snore. Well, Rob was so clever. He was witty and so smart. When did he get to be such a grumpy old fart? But don't make any bets. This is as good as it gets. Tell me, dears, are you aching tonight? All right, that's for Rob and Shirley and all of us. I have one great story I like to tell. And this story is for the women only, okay? So the men can't listen, all right? It's a woman's story. You know, most jokes, most stories are always about the men. It's the traveling salesman. It's two guys that are, but it's always the men, the men, the men. You never hear about the women. Well, this is a story. I want you to imagine a mountaintop. And on the mountaintop, there's 4 men and 1 woman. And they're mountain climbers. And all of a sudden, a storm is ready to overtake the mountain. And they're in pretty big trouble. And they're not sure they're going to get down when all of a sudden a helicopter comes plopping overhead. And the helicopter drops a rope, and the pilot says, grab the ropes, grab the rope. So there's one rope is swinging by, and the 4 men and the 1 woman, they grab the rope as best they can, and they swing off the mountain just as the storm comes by, and they avoid it. And they're all hanging on this rope as best they can, and finally the pilot says, it's too heavy. Someone has to let go. It's too heavy. Someone has to let go. So finally the woman says, all right, it's always the woman who has to suffer the pains of childbirth. It's always the woman who has to go the extra mile. It's always the woman who has to support her husband. It's always the woman who has to stand behind everyone and make things right. And it's always the woman who's asked to go that extra mile. So I think it'd only be fair that I be the one to let go. And at the end of this beautiful speech, all the men applauded. That was for the women. All right, the men can listen now. By the way, I got some sad news on the way over. I heard that the Pillsbury Doughboy died. Yeah, he had a yeast infection. And he also died of complications from being poked in the belly so often. He was laid out in a lightly greased coffin. Several celebrities came to pay their respects. Mrs. Hungry Jack was there, and Betty Crocker showed up, and of course Sarah Lee. And Aunt Jemima delivered the eulogy for the Pillsbury Doughboy. She reminded everybody that he was well bred, and nobody, he never even realized how much he was needed. And he rose quickly in show business, and in spite of a lot of turnovers. Some people thought he wasn't a very smart cookie. He spent all his dough on half-baked ideas. Some people thought he was just a crusty old man, but he was, to millions of people, he was the perfect role model. He was survived by his wife, Play-Doh. They had 2 children, John Doe and Jane Doe, and they had one in the oven, too, by the way. And he had a friendly old uncle they used to call Pop Tart. The funeral the funeral was at 3:50 for about 20 minutes. So R.I.P., rest in peace, the Pillsbury Doughboy. May he forever reside in pastry. So I just had to bring that news to you. Anybody got any favorite songs they want to hear? Everybody, do you have an hour song, Rob and Shirley? Do you remember what your hour song is?
All of them are good.
What?
They're all good.
See, nobody can remember. Didn't you dance at your wedding to our song?
Imagination.
Did you sing that? Fascinating. Okay, any other requests? It's amazing how many songs I don't know. Let's see if you like to. Do you like to sing? There must be some folks here. Let's see if we can sing a few. I'll play when you all. If you don't know the words, just listen to the person next to you. All right? They won't know them either. How about this old one? Ain't she sweet? See you walking down the street. Well, I ask you, baby. Good. Ain't she nice? I look her over once or twice. Then I'll ask you confidentially, ain't she nice? Oh, cast an eye in her direction. Oh me, oh my, oh my, oh me, ain't that perfection? Oh yo, 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 I repeat, I don't think she's kind of neat. Then I'll ask you very confidentially. All right. Here's one everybody knows. You ready? It goes. Remember that? It starts. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, I'll help you out. It goes A, B, C, D. Come on. Very good. Next time, won't you sing for me? What's A for? A for what? No, A for arthritis. B for bad back. C for chest pain. Maybe cardiac. D is for dental decay and decline. E is for eyesight. I can't read a line. F is for fissures and fluid retention. G for gas. I'd rather not mention. H is high blood pressure. I wish it were low. And I is for incisions, scars I can show. J is for joints that won't buckle or mend. And K is for knees that snap when they bend. L is for libido, whatever happened to sex. And M is for memory. Oh dear. I can't remember what's next. N is for neuralgia, nerves down low. O for osteo and bones that won't grow. P, prescriptions, I've filled quite a few. Just give me a pill or two and I'll show you what they do. Q is for queasy, is it fatal or just the flu? And R is for reflux, one meal turns into two. S is for those sleepless nights with all of those fears. T is for tinnitus, a ringing in my ears. U is for urinary, trouble with my flow. V is for vertigo, I'm dizzy, don't you know. W is for wow, now what's going around. X is for x-rays and things that they found. Y is another year that I've left behind. Z is for zest, but only in my mind. ZXWYVUTSRQPONMLKJIHGFEDCBA. Now I said my ABCs, me of think you what me tell. All right, we got to screwed up a little bit. All right, that's the ABCs. Let me take you back to a time that I think we can all identify with. This is something that I can identify with. I'm going to take you back to a time and a place, well, a place that time forgot. Before the songs of Dylan or the dawn of Camelot, it was a race of innocence that included you and me, and it was a place that I remember, a place that made me, me. Ike was in the White House in the land where I was born, and a navel was an orange, and Peyton Place was porn. We longed for love and romance. Women waited for their prince, and Eddie Fisher married Liz. Right? We haven't seen them since. We danced a little darling, and we sang to Stagger Lee, and we cried for Buddy Holly in that land that made me, me. Only girls wore earrings. 3 was one too many, and only boys had flat-top cuts that glistened like a penny. And only in our wildest dreams did we ever think we'd see a boy named George in lipstick in that land that made me, me. We fell for Frankie Avalon, and Annette was oh so nice. When Hollywood made a movie, they didn't make them twice. We didn't have a Star Trek 5 or a Psycho 2 and 3 or a Rocky Rambo 20 in that land that made me, me. Kitty had a heart of gold, and Chester had a limp. Reagan was a Democrat, and his co-star was a chimp. We had a Mr. Wizard, but not a Mr. T, and Oprah wasn't talking yet in that land that made me, me. We had our share of heroes. We hated to see them go, like Bobby Darin and Marilyn Monroe. Youth was still eternal, and life was yet to be. And Elvis was forever in that land that made me, me. We never heard a band that was grateful to be dead, or an airplane named Jefferson. Zeppelins weren't made of lead. Beetles lived in gardens. Monkeys lived in trees. And Madonna was simply Mary in that land that made me, me. We had no microphones or telephones in cars. Babies still were breastfed and never raised in jars. Pumping iron made wrinkles go. And gay meant fancy free. And Castro came to power near that land that made me, me. We had no Hill Street blues, and Chet and David Brinkley would nightly bring the news. We had no patterned pantyhose or Lipton herbal tea, or nighttime ads for dysfunctions in that land that made me, me. We had no golden arches and no Perrier to chill, and fish were not named Wanda, and cats were not named Bill. Middle age was 31, old age 43. Ancient were our parents in that land that made me, me. But all things have a season, so I've heard them say, and now instead of Maybelline, we have Retin-A. We get daily invitations to join AARP. You've come a long way, baby, from that land that made me, me. So now I kind of sit around in slightly larger jeans, and I wonder why the print's so small in all those magazines. But at least I can tell my children's children the way it used to be so long ago and far away, in that land that made me, me. So we can all identify with that a little bit. You know, they call us all seniors, and we have a couple of problems because we are. The number one problem we have is what? What do they call it? When you can't remember something. What? It's a senior moment? Well, it's a senior moment. It's also, well, it's called a brain fart. Right? Yeah. It usually starts by simply staring into space, followed by the fear that I've left something out of place. And then I look around for something I can't find. I wonder what it even was that ever crossed my mind. Senior moment, brain fart. Try to remember, but the process never starts. Staring off into space is how it usually starts. Senior moment, brain fart. So I wandered into the kitchen and I opened up the fridge. I stood there for a moment and I wondered why I did. I didn't know what to do, so I simply closed the door. I wondered what I wanted, and did I want some more? Senior moment, brain fart. Try to remember, but the process never starts. Maybe it was some ice cream or the blueberry tart. Senior moment, brain fart. So I wandered down to Walmart, I don't remember when. I stood there for a moment, and then I finally went in. The greeter said, "Hello, sir, something you'd like to see?" I must have looked bewildered, because they went and hired me. Senior moment, brain fart. Try to remember, but the process never starts. But I had such a good time counting shopping carts. Senior moment, brain fart. So I went to see my doctor, said, "Doc, my memory's on the blink." I said, "Can you fix it?" He said, "Well, let me think." He said, "How long have you had this problem? Is it old or is it new?" And I said, "What problem? And who the hell are you?" Brain fart. Try to remember, but the process never starts. I got them by the millions, Doc. They're off the chart. Senior moment, brain fart. So I went to see my druggist to see what I could do about my memory and my ED problem, too. He gave me Rogaine and Viagra to take when I got home. I got a beautiful head of hair, but it's too stiff to comb. Senior moment, brain fart. Try to remember, but the process never starts. So never mix up your medicine, because that's how it starts. Senior moment, brain fart. Okay, I knew we could all identify with that. You know, I know you're the Historical Society, so someone here tonight asked me if I could, because it is history, do something that I've been doing for years. And what time is it? We got time? I'm going to do the history of the world, so we should be out of here by Wednesday. But actually, I'm going to do the history of the world in exactly 6 minutes. You can time me if you want. Now, we all went to school, and we all had history lessons, so you can follow me through your schooling and your memory of history. And this is the history of the world. I'm talking about the whole world when it first started. I mean, way back when it was cold and wet and dark and smelly, and there was nothing but prehistoric floating jelly. And then lightning flashes, and the jelly starts moving. The water is cloudy, and the jelly says, "Howdy." 2 amoebas are whoopee making. Sex is born. Things start shaping. There's trees and grass. Lots of roses and things with tails that ain't got noses. Birds are eating worms and fishes, and lizards are chomping on their misses. Then there's boas and little moas, all from protozoas. Reptiles are getting big and cocky. A pterodactyl eat a doggy. There's geeses and mises and weasels and camels. Add some boobs, we've got mammals. A monkey playing in the savannah could be the great-great-granddaughter of Daryl Hannah. Double ice age, double whammies, cavemen skinning bears for jammies. Bow and arrow, quest for fire. Neanderthal invents the tire. Milk from cow, wider brow for all those things that brains allow. Cro-Magnum's artistic itchins is painting bisons in the kitchen. Middle East invents the hoe, old King Tut wrapped up to go. Wall of China, fall of Troy. Hey, Mrs. Plato, it's a boy. A Chinese guy invents the compass. The Sphinx's nose goes cattywampus. Greeks tweak each other's noses, discus throwers, naked poses. Birth of Buddha, birth of Rome. Caesar should have stayed at home. Alexander's on the brink. Socrates has one last drink. Wise men follow Eastern Star. Christmas comes but once, so far. Eclipses measured by the Mayans. Christians gobbled by the lions. Rome is burning. Nero playing Light My Fire. Tons of Huns in every village wearing t-shirts born to pillage. Byzantines destroy the Vandals. There's Muhammad wearing sandals. Holy Roman Empire founded. The Vikings tell the world you're grounded. Raping, robbing, looting, stealing. Ain't this army life appealing? Leif Erikson, a Navy nominee, year 1000 Anno Domini. Waiting out a storm he's lost in, hangs a left, discovers Boston. French invade while the Brits not looking, still can't rescue British cooking. 4 crusades and then all bets off. Genghis Khan is lopping heads off. Mongol hordes are Mongol hoarding, stealing what they ain't affording. Bow replaced by gun and cartridge, lousy time to be a partridge. The Middle Ages come in stages, knights in armor, all the rages. The Black Death kills half of France, your legs fall off inside your pants. Printing press, an aid to learning, Joan of Arc says, what's that burning? Spanish Inquisition, gruesome, stretching makes the guy a twosome. Columbus says to Ferdinand, guess what I found? Lots more land. Da Vinci flaunts his renaissances, Martin Luther takes his chances. Rubens' reputation grows on sketching babes without their clothes on. Norse's forces plot new courses. Henry VIII invents divorces. Mary, Queen of Scots, beheaded, lousy way to end up deaded. Spain's armada turned and ran, and the shoguns divvy up Japan. Says King James, theologizing, I think the Bible needs revising. Indians eye some deeds and satin, gain some jewelry and lose Manhattan. Drake wonders where he got to. Shakespeare writes to be or not to. Galileo's on the run. He says the earth goes round the sun. He says it's in my telescope. No, it isn't, says the Pope. Noah Webster starts with A, and that's why we can't spell today. Spinning jenny used by many, cotton dockers half a penny. King George taxes tea and foodstuffs, then goes on with really rude stuff, with rattles sabers. And Paul Revere wakes up the neighbors. Betsy stitches stars and stripes. Jefferson declares his gripes. Constitution, revolution. Franklin risks electrocution. Pasteur dreams a nifty cure-up. Bonaparte is creaming Europe. Let them eat cake, says Antoinette. Kill the bimbo, says Lafayette. Guillotines make record holders, separating heads from shoulders. James Monroe stands up and vows, There's a doctrine in the house. There's a doctrine in the house. Beethoven has a golden gift. He takes the second, writes the fifth. Bright ideas of Samuel Morse's lays off 50,000 horses. Europe fused, Swiss excused, Queen Victoria not amused. Dickens warrants that his next trick will be writing all of Nicholas Nickleby. Karl Marx gathers flunkies. Darwin says we're mostly monkeys. Civil War, a nation bloodies. 4 years later, back to buddies. Bell's phone disturbs our slumber. Watson gets an unlisted number. Edison with volt and amp tells his wife, I fixed your lamp. Freud perplexes both the sexes, makes his parents nervous Rexes. 1903, year of flight. Orville barfs on Wilbur Wright. Kaiser sore, World at War, 1-0 final score, and then the Germans feeling better, second game, doubleheader. Franks, Yanks, tanks win, checkpoint Charlie in Berlin. Girls swoon, Beatles tune, Yankee golfing on the moon. Watergate's missing tapes, Darwin's right about the apes. Read my lips, no more taxes, Lincoln spinning on his axes. Now the years get really silly, things get slick thanks to Willie. Here's a man who thinks he never played sax with Miss Lewinsky. Straight ahead a century, young folks say it's meant for me. Another election somewhat defective, some son of a Bush gets elected. A new millennium is underway with hope for the future, so they say, until that sad September day when some insane terrorist powers decided to take down a couple of towers. That's the way it was, and that's the way it went, and soon that too is just another event. Hollywood continues to turn out thrillers. OJ still can't find the killers. Mother Nature couldn't be meaner with tsunamis and earthquakes and, of course, Katrina. America puts their faith in a guy named Obama. The world is better off without a guy named Osama. People keep trying and people keep dying from guns and bombs at marathons and movie shows and school halls and shopping malls. So we've conquered inner space, we've conquered outer space, but nobody seems to be winning the human race. Things are still wacky and old Iraqi. The Middle East is one big crisis. The next world problem, of course, is ISIS. But one more night we should never forget, and that was the night a bunch of people met to laugh and sing and have a thrill in Fabius, New York, with a guy named Phil. Thank you. All right, if you have any music requests, I'd be happy to play a song or two for you. Otherwise, yes, ma'am.
You are my sunshine.
I can't hear it.
You are my sunshine.
Sunshine, right? We always got to do that, yeah. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken. So I hung down my head. What did I cry? You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Please don't take my playing the proper song to conclude the event, and I hate the G word. You know what the G word is when things are all done? You say, what's the G word? Don't say. I hate to say it. I could say adios, or I could say au revoir, or I could say arrivederci, but I just can't say. I could say sayonara, or Wiedersehen, or hasta la vista, but I just can't say. Well, I know our evening is over and through. Maybe I'll simply just bid you adieu. So I throw a kiss, blow a smile, and say toodaloo, but I just can't say. I know our evening is over and through. How about aloha to each one of you? So I blow a kiss and throw a smile and say doodaloo, but I just can't say. I just can't say, but I gotta say goodbye. Be kind to your wet-footed friends, for a duck may be somebody's mother. A duck lives way down in the swamp, where the weather is cold and damp. Now you may think that this is the end. Well, it is. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, and if I can say this, you're brilliant.
Oh.
Ah, yes.
Folks, we've got refreshments in the back, and they're always good. We've got some good talk. Hang around. And thanks again, Phil. This has been very